beloveds. Sorry about the face. I'm messing with the camera angle, and you know how dangerous that is. We are doing the Voice Celestial. Actually, we are finishing the Voice Celestial because today is the Postword, which is prose, not poetry. And I don't know what the Postword is because I was going to kind of pre-read it yesterday. I didn't do it. Yeah, we're going to read it together. And then, but let's do the housekeeping first. And then on Monday, we will start with the Living of the Science of Mind. So let's do the housekeeping first, which is simply me reminding you we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email is info@creativelife.org. It is one email a week unless something unusual happens. The hot links are hot, and nobody will see your emails because it's a blind CC. So you won't end up on anybody else's mailing list because of us. And it just tells you what's going on for the week and the month. There we are. Okay. And the social medias. We do not monetize the social medias. We don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do instead is go like, subscribe, share, follow, comment, because it bumps us in the algorithms and we appreciate it. We think we have good tools to share, and we hope you agree. And we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark, depending on which platform you are on. And I am the Running River platform on all of the platforms that I am on. Okay, so there's that. Let's get on with this. So, because, so this is the Postword. It is chapter 19. I've been trying to show you the pictures. I haven't always remembered. So there's that picture. Okay. And like I said, this is not poem. This is prose. So, hang on. I have a tendency to close my lamp. I don't know why. I don't need to. But I'm going to open it back up really quick. Okay. All right. Let's get on with the Postword. The explanations in the foregoing epic should be clear in and of themselves. Nevertheless, as we are seriously attempting to outline a full philosophy of mind and the evolution of doctrines originating in many minds and over many centuries, and as the definitions are transferred across the borders of time and of languages, it seems appropriate to add a few explanations which may enable the serious student to revisit the field of investigation they have just transversed and see it with clearer eyes and a better perspective. The goal of the Voice Celestial has been to bridge the centuries that have passed since Jesus, the last of the great masters, gave his message to mankind and link it into the present age. The return to religion is not to Paul, but to Jesus. It is one of the anomalies of history that the theology, rituals, and authority of a great religious faith should be founded not on the teachings of its master, but on the concepts of a man who never saw him, who did not even consult with Jesus' personal apostles for several years, and depended on garbled reports and psychic experience in setting the patterns of his interpretation. Though it was not Paul, but an unknown author who wrote the letter to the Hebrews and some other works ascribed to Paul, his footprint is burned into the records of the history of the church. While the church owes much to the Pauline authors and to the beauty of many of his phrases and concepts, nevertheless, he must be looked upon as having been a barrier through which the stream of the unfolding revelations of the great prophets could hardly penetrate. It is both a simple and profound fact that the two major principles in religion, which were the heart of revelations of the seers, including Jesus, must be restored today as far as possible in their primal splendor. These two are the law of cause and effect, and one, the law of cause and effect, and two, idealistic monism, which hold true. Oh, and there we go. I dropped both my book and the book that was holding the screen. Oh, the law of cause and effect right there. Oh, hang on. All right, now I gotta find my place. Okay. Whew. Okay. So let's start back over. Oh, dang it. And I just cracked the spine. Okay. These two are the law of cause and effect and 2, idealistic monism, which hold true in both the field of physics and of metaphysics. The historical church, for many centuries, made every effort to disavow its ancient historic origins in order to enforce the concept of a revealed religion appearing spontaneously and in its entirety in the first years of our era. It did its best to destroy its own roots, which ran back through immemorial time. The early church was, in fact, largely Mithric and drew from other Oriental religions, although it afterwards denied its debt to them and to Apollonius of Tyana, the Pythagorean philosophers of the date of Jesus. These faiths were monotheistic or Trinitarian, 3 in 1, as taught by the masters. The dualism in the theology of the church was drawn from a misconception of the Mithric teaching of Zoroaster and other alien sources and contradicts the teachings of Jesus regarding monotheism. Although in physics we know but one law of light, heat, power, gravitational separation, elastic strain, etc., and although science posits the principle that man controls his world by obeying its laws, religion still insists on dualism. God and the devil, sin and salvation, heaven and hell, i.e., 2 opposing principles, and many still propound an entity as personal devil. Corollary with this is the teaching in regard to law. While in science, as we have said, there is but one master law, we are taught by Pauline Christianity that effects can be separated from causes and salvation secured by theological doctrines and practices. The major Pauline concept being salvation from the consequences of sin. If the reader finds hope in the epic poem, The Voice Celestial, a stream of references to these 2 major principles, they may be assured that the authors so intended. The riddle of life and the universe cannot be solved without this knowledge. It can be solved with it. An endless number of secondary principles evolve from these 2. In fact, a whole philosophy of life is taught by those whose lives have been recorded in this book. Not only science and religion are affected by this philosophy, but also psychology, industry, business, the healing arts, and social relationships of all kind. Great masses of people have been affected by the revitalization and reestablishment of these fundamental principles and experienced redemption from disease and want, fear and sorrow, through faith in the all-embracing consciousness of universal love. Above all, they have found God. The new emphasis on the father-mother doctrine of the ages has not diminished the luster of Jesus, but on the contrary, has brought him into focus as the last and greatest of the masters. He so summed up their revelations that he became the embodiment of their principles, and so impressed himself on the succeeding centuries that we who are heirs to his name call him Christ and ourselves Christians. Right there. If you ever wanted to know if Ernest believed we are Christians, he says it right there. Okay? Ugh. The greatest, okay, so this is titled under Jesus Christ, okay? The greatest single gift ever presented to humankind by seer, scientist, or savior was made by Jesus, the demonstration and proof of a soul. People had believed in a soul. They had taught their belief. They had fashioned passion plays to illustrate it. But the final and definite proof lay in the teaching and experience of Jesus. There was only one way to prove it, to die and to reappear, not as part of a play in which the hero of the pageant dies, descends into nether regions, and reappears, as in the Elysian mysteries, but as an actual experience of death and survival. The resurrection has been so glamorously emphasized that the church has underplayed the real significance. We have a soul. Side note, an interesting conversation that I had with Jesse, along with a group of other people, is he wondered out loud why we wear the cross instead of the empty tomb. And that's exactly what Ernest is talking about here right now. We focus on the death, not on the resurrection. And we're coming on Easter too, so that's really interesting. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Okay. The resurrection has, it is here that the problem of words must be met. What is a soul? What is a self? What is it that lives here and survives there? We use many terms interchangeably. Let us look at them. We speak of man. What is a man? That thou art mindful of him. The Sanskrit MN is the source of the Latin word mens, or mind, and means measurer. Man is a measurer or a steward of universal intelligence, which he differentiates. He is being, or that which is. The word self denotes individuality or identity of a being whose inner life is apart from all other lives. The self persists and is the same self always. The word ego esoterically means an evolving self, while in psychiatry, it is the conscious self or directing faculty. The significance of self deepens when denoted by such words as logos, Atman, and Christ. Ooh. Okay. These refer to the higher self and indicate the unchanging or eternal essence of man's being. In this case, it is a symbol of the individualized supreme manifesting in speech and reason. The word me has an equal significance. All these denote individualized spirit or being. The word soul, like self, is often used to indicate people's consciousness of themselves apart from all individual existences. But it also indicates the formative principle by which molds the body and which can be influenced by thought and feeling and prayer, so that we can build a better body here and also create a vehicle for our consciousness which survives the earthly body. The word psyche or psyche is to be distinguished from self or spiritual being and refers to the natural person, that is, to mind emotions. Psychiatry uses the term psychosomatic to indicate the control of the soma or body by the psyche or mind. In both the Old and in both the Jewish and Christian Testament, Psyche is used in the significance of soul. Which Reverend Norm just rose from the grave on that one. This was the teaching of Pythagoras and of Plato as seen in the biographies of the foregoing epic. Paul makes use of the same principle when he speaks of the psychical body, original Greek of 1 Corinthians 15 through 44. See also Ezekiel 13:18 and following. As independent in the physical body and of the body of the pneuma, spirit, as well. He assumes that both the pneuma and the psyche have bodies of a quasi-material nature. The recognition of a soul body which survives the physical is essential to the understanding of the survival of individuality as taught by the masters and exemplified in the resurrection of Jesus. Nor is such survival contrary to the possibilities of modern science. Physics posits and proves the existence of an unseen and intangible world. A field of force which surrounds the ends of a magnet have both form and extension, but we do not see it. Science knows of worlds composed of substances which our sense organs cannot register. But they are there. An understanding of physics necessitates positing an unseen or intangible world from which the tangle of or physical emerges. The tangible or physical emerges. That makes more sense. This is the electromagnetic field from which the individual molds or patterns are formed, and these are the stuff or matter of the visible world. All natural objects such as tree, beast, or people are formed or held in such mold. Pythagoras and Plato and most of the ancient faiths taught that the self forms a mold which they denominated the soul and referred to as the subtle chariot. He's using an old spelling of subtle, which I finally looked up. S-U-B-T-I-L-E. It still means subtle. It looks like subtile, but it is subtle. It's just an old spelling. Okay. It is such a form that is visible at times in the astral field as an apparition. Its opaqueness apparently due to a quasi-material substance which survives body death. Dr. Duncan McDougall's experiments in the Massachusetts General Hospital proved that the body loses 3/4 of an ounce at death. Such survival is adequate to account for the appearance of forms, shapes, and apparitions. The story of the Bible is the story of exceptional men who held conversations with such ghostly visitations. Such visitations were made by Jesus apparently to certify his survival after the crucifixion. I need to put a link in there to the idea of the bardos, which comes out of either ultimately it probably came out of the Hindu tradition, out of the Buddhist tradition. The best way to describe it really quickly is train stations. Birth is a train station, life is a train station, death is a train station. The fourth train station is if you recognize the fourth train station where you get off the cycle of rebirth and death. And then you can go on to the fifth and the sixth. And the sixth is nirvana. But if you miss the fourth station from the third station of death, then you get back on the train and go back through birth, life, and death. So, which is, I think, what he's alluding to here. Okay. Whew, we got a page and a half left. The necessities of language in the conveyance of ideas across the barriers of language, the languages of many ages, have necessitated our use of words which are not necessarily synonymous. This is true in regards to the words we have just examined. We have at times used soul and self and ego and me interchangeably. as the spirit in man. But with the ancient seers, we must look upon soul as a persistent principle of form. This was understood by the esoteric Spencer, who perceived the psychosomatic relationship when he declared that the present visible body is a replica of the invisible soul. For of the soul the body form doth take, for the soul is form, and doth the body make. This, of course, remains true for all planes on which people have existed or may exist. Soul, then, is real, but its nature depends upon the life, acts, thoughts, and motives of its creator, i.e., its own persistent self. There is no reason to doubt that all souls survive, but that they progress or fall back according to the way in which the entity functions on any plane. It was because of this that the ancients, and particularly Pythagoras and Plato, formulated the principle of the migrations or return of the souls in repeated incarnations. While the present authors do not subscribe to such return, the principle remains the same, that all people, are building souls for future habitation. Referring this now to the purpose and acts of Jesus Christ, we again reaffirm that the significance of the life of Jesus lay particularly in his teaching and manifestation of the survival of consciousness in soul form or life beyond death. He realized that this assurance could not be afforded by a passion play, but must be, oh, no, I'm wrong. We have 2 pages to go. 2.5 pages. Demonstrated by a personal experience which could be verified as factual by his disciples. His concept was not spontaneous, but a matter of growth. He had at first believed that the rule of love and justice could be established by a return to pure religion as taught by the prophets, and in particular by Moses, who had derived his concepts of the religion and social order directly from spiritual communication, in which the God of monotheism had revealed the slender barrier between life here and life beyond. There is an abundance of evidence that Jesus was a member of the party of Essenes, the final survival of the brotherhood of the prophets organized by Samuel. They were physicians who healed by light and other natural means. Their organization and principles were almost identical to those of Pythagoras, including prayer at sunrise, the weaving of linen, the wearing of linen garments, a primitive form of the Lord's Prayer, and a belief in the pre-existence of the soul, which, descending from the subtle ether, is attracted into the body in which it remains, as in a person, freed from its bonds, as from a long servitude, joyfully takes its flight. Through the Essenes, Jesus had acquired the doctrine of the divine word, which had been initiated by Krishna, developed by the priests of Osiris, and elaborated by Orpheus and Pythagoras. The Word was the Son of Man and the Son of God, the prototypical or perfect person who would appear as the hidden one or the Messiah. In the book of Enoch, he was represented as the son of woman. I've never heard of the book of Enoch. Henoch. If you want to look it up, I will Google it. As such, doctrines were instilled into the mind of Jesus, and he meditated upon and developed them during the period in which he attempted to bring about religious and social change in Palestine. He accepted the monotheistic doctrine of the masters and elaborated the thought of the divine unity as an individual experience. I and the Father are one. he said, thus making practical for daily life the inner secret of the great faiths, the identity of people with God. Failure to know and act upon his higher teaching has weakened the structure of modern churches. Oof. Josephus. Oh. Okay. There was an asterisk. Like Moses, Jesus attempted to make the esoteric doctrine known to all people. The kingdom of heaven is already in you. It was this truth, emphasized by his resurrection, that transformed the lives of hopeless slaves, of the poor and oppressed, into the life of joyful hope. It was Jesus' belief that an inner change would produce objective justice and advance wisdom and secure good government. Unlike Plato, he did not deal with it as a thesis. He did not attack governments, but the doctrines and institutions which controlled the masses and majorities of people. Like Philo in Egypt, who was at that very time synthesizing the Oriental philosophy, Judaism, and Hellenism, so Jesus was presenting a unified concept of truth and faith, of life on earth as a reflection of life in heaven, not in an abstract way, but as a matter of personal practice. He considered that man and the world were lost because the spark of the divine wisdom had been lost from it. It was only after his efforts at reform in religion and practice had utterly failed that he resorted to extreme measures, such as the ejection of the money changers from the temple. At first, his enemies were hard put to it to know how to destroy him because he countered attacks with truth and love. Even when they became violent, his strongest reaction was to deal with them from the point of view of seeing them as spiritual malefactors. That is, rejectors of truth or hypocrites. He was at length convinced that the kingdom of heaven could not be established on earth without first establishing the conviction of the supremacy of the human soul above the plane of organized religion and government. This was the same objective as the passion plays or mysteries. But to make it universal, it was necessary once and for all for a human personality to pass through the experience of death and to verify the survival of the entity by reappearance among those who had known him in the physical body. It is this experience that is the climax of our historical picture in the Masters of the Ages in the Voice Celestial. His reappearance after the crucifixion was the cornerstone of Christianity. Without it, there would have been no Christian religion. Unfortunately for religion and humankind, the physical interpretation of the resurrection has dimmed its luster and identified suffering with the hope of survival. This has been doubly damned by the doctrine of the physical rather than the psychical survival of the resurrection of the body of Jesus. If Jesus had reappeared in the earthly vehicle of the soul rather than the psychical, it would have offered hope, but not certainty, to the vast multitude of the human race, because the survival of the body of Jesus does not give assurance of personal survival, nor does humankind crave body survival, but soul survival. But it was the soul survival that Jesus demonstrated. This was proven in the gospel story in the Bible itself. The personality of Jesus returned in soul form, in a body sufficiently dense as to be seen, but not always easily recognized by his disciples. The evidence is overwhelming, and as such occurrences have been duplicated in myriad of similar ones throughout Christian history, and will no doubt continue for ages yet to come. Even so, the final significance lies not in the appearance of soul forms, but in the assurance of continuity the continuity of individual existence. It is the future existence of the self to which Paul alludes. If we have only hoped in Christ for this life, we are of all men pitiable. 1 Corinthians 15:19. But if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, then also all them that have fallen asleep in Jesus, the Christ consciousness, will God bring to him. 1 Thessalonians 4:14. Whoa, okay, that was a whole lot longer than I was expecting it to be. Glad it's a Sunday. Okay, now, there's this thing called notes at the end of this book. If you have the book, I suggest you flip through the notes because you will have seen them throughout the play. Some of which I did go Google. Some of which, were fairly self-evident to me, so I didn't. The postword was way more intense than I was expecting it to be. Interesting that they took on, because I've heard Jesse made the same comments about the Pauline, theory, because he didn't know Jesus. He never met Jesus. And apparently, when he first started his doctrine, he didn't even talk to the actual disciples of Jesus. Oh, religion. There's a difference between religion and spirituality, and one of the quick and easy definitions is that religion is taking somebody else's story as experience, and spirituality is having your own experience. Okay, and then the other one is religion is crowd control, which is why religion doesn't like spirituality, because when you become free in and of yourself, you are uncontrollable. Okay. Now, that being said, I still need to go wash my hair, so I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of business day, a let's get this done day, a take a good nap day, a cuddle your fur babies day, a do something fun for yourself day, a go be with your community day, a tell somebody you love them day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough. Just as you are a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion, God in action, a brilliant light, a divine spark, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right. Take care of yourself. Oh, wait. Reverend, explore the truth of your own being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. It's all the divine knows. And from there, anything is possible. And Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. We will have an amazing service for you in about an hour and a half, because practitioner Danielle will have a restorative reboot, so that'll be good. She is a dynamic speaker. You definitely want to hear her. Take care of yourself. Oh, and I'll be back with you around 9 tomorrow, and we will start the Living with Science Mind. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.